Hi guys! So I am back from Turo's first annual summit, and I have to say that I'm super glad that I went. For a second there I was actually thinking about not going, but I'm really glad that I did. It was definitely really valuable, some super useful information I came across, and it was a great opportunity to meet people at Turo and other fellow hosts that kind of flew in from all over the US, which was really cool. So it was a one-day summit, from morning till kind of late afternoon, and there was a lot of segments to the event. As host, we did have to sign a non-disclosure agreement, so I can't exactly go over everything, but I think I can definitely go over all the stuff that I thought was super important and that would be valuable to share with you guys. So first and foremost, I'll do some just sort of major updates that came out of that summit, and that is sort of already public information so far. The first one, many of you have probably already seen the email. They are getting rid of the referral code that each host has, and that's when a new user signs up, they get $25 credit towards their first rental, and you get $25 in travel credit towards your account. So they are doing away with that, but they are replacing that with an affiliate program. So it seems like they are going to come out with a link that us as hosts can use, that we can post into our profiles or any type of social media that we do. And I believe you actually get cash instead of travel credit, which is cool. So, I think they're playing around with different customer acquisition models. So I'm excited to see how this works out. I have no issues with it. I think it's cool. Obviously, it's clear that their goal is to get more users on the platform. So if they think that this is a better way of doing it, then I'm all for it. Hey, as long as we have more customers, more people renting cars, that's all I care about. Don't really care how they do it. So affiliate program, pretty cool. The other thing that they kind of introduced and that we received emails about post summit was providing some new insurance options for hosts, for us to sort of personally insure our vehicles, which has always been a little bit of a pain point, and people have come up with really creative solutions on how to insure your cars when they're not being rented on Turo, including myself. So I was excited to see that they're actually working with different companies. One of them is called, I don't know if this is actually how you pronounce it, Aon, it's AON, that they're working with. So I actually submitted my information to that insurance company. They're going to get back to me with a quote. Once I get that quote, I'll definitely do a comparison video and let you guys know what the difference is between what I'm paying in insurance right now versus what they offer. The good thing about the solution is that you feel like you're doing it in a clean, proper way. Right now I think most people who are insuring their cars for use outside of Turo, we're just all sort of flying under the radar with regular insurance companies, which is okay because obviously you're not using your personal insurance for anything that goes on with Turo because you have your own separate insurance for your Turo cars through Turo while they're out on rentals. So that's kind of the gist on that. So I'm really excited that they have come up with a few solutions, and hopefully they pan out well, and as hosts they make the cost of doing business and having cars on Turo help us drive our costs down and present us with solutions where insurance companies actually understand what's going on and they can come up with packages, especially for people like us. And one of the things that I discovered is that things are already headed in this direction. I think I was talking to a couple of hosts out of Boston who specifically were working with Liberty Mutual, and Liberty Mutual came up with some custom packages just for them. So it's exciting to see that that this is all moving in the right direction, and that there are new and better solutions, that you kind of don't have to worry about flying under the radar and getting in trouble for any reason. So that was really good. Overall, the feel of the whole summit I thought was really good. It was really positive. It was really healthy, um, both on Turo's side and from the host perspective. Everything that they talked about was really exciting, and it's all moving towards the right direction. The feel that I got from the event, especially from Turo, was, I guess the best word to use is transparency. I really felt like that they were trying to be transparent, and one of the things that they emphasized, or were trying to emphasize, was that as hosts they hear our concerns, and to trust them that they're working on this, and certain things take time. So I felt that that was really comforting, and I really like to hear that. Another cool thing was that at the summit, they actually had people from every single department in the company that were available, not just that were attending, but they were available for us to talk to them about whatever it might be. So it was claims, it was marketing, it was data, just every aspect. Customer support was there. So that was really neat. I thought that was a great way for them to kind of get the message across that they are trying to be transparent and that they're here and that they hear us as hosts. So I really, really enjoyed that. So I've taken some notes here because I just want to make sure that I cover everything that's been on my mind since I've attended the summit. So like I mentioned, everything is really sounded really exciting and healthy in terms of the trajectory of Turo and what they're doing for the marketplace. Now, some of you might have already heard that they recently, actually I think the day before the summit, closed a major round of funding for, I believe it was $250 million, and it's from a major group called IAC. And what I particularly find so exciting about that is if you look into who IAC is, they're a huge internet marketing company. And that makes me really excited because I think with that new funding from IAC and Turo having IAC in their corner, there is going to be a huge push towards marketing, and which will obviously help with acquisition, getting Turo's name out there, and just growing this marketplace as a whole. So that's really cool. One of my takeaways from the summit was I think that it really helped overcome a lot of the fears that some of us hosts have, especially when it comes to some of Turo's competition like Get Around. And one of the things that they emphasized is their push for marketing and really putting a lot of dollars behind marketing to continue to widen that gap between Turo and all their other competition. And they're obviously super aware of what Get Around is doing. And right now, I don't even think Get Around is really even anywhere in the ballpark of market ownership that Turo is. Turo is just so far ahead of where Get Around is, and now I think with all these additional marketing dollars that they're going to put into pushing Turo's name out there and building the platform, they're really going to slingshot themselves so far ahead of any other competition that I think it's going to be pretty tough for anyone else to really catch up. And another indication of that is, aside from just what they talked about at the summit, is if you actually go into the App Store and you look at downloads that Turo has versus any of these other apps that are out there that are trying to compete, I mean, no one even really comes close to them. So that's always a really good indication. So that's one of the things that I like to check in on time to time. Just go into your app store, take a look at what these other apps, what their downloads are, what Turo's is, and that'll give you kind of a good indication of how far that gap is. And right now that gap is huge, which is really good. Aside from that, I had a chance to really talk to a lot of hosts. A lot of hosts talked about their strategies, stuff that's working for them. And, some of these hosts have 5 cars, 10 cars, 15 cars like myself, 30, 40, 50 cars. So you really had a wide range of everybody that was there. One of the things that I came across a lot was I noticed that a lot of hosts are really trying to automate their processes, right? So they're using programs like Street Smarts, for example, where you pay a monthly subscription, and what that does is that handles your messaging by automating it, so you can have your pre-canned responses, and when you get a reservation that comes in, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is how it works, then it'll automatically shoot out a message to your new reservation guest, and it'll automate that process for you and keep your response time down. In my honest opinion, that's not something that I would ever use, and at most so far in my years of being on the platform, I've had 20 something cars, I think like 23 or something like that, and I've always handled the messaging myself. And yes, it's a lot of messaging, but handling the messaging yourself is so important for so many reasons. First and foremost, I think something that people forget about is that Turo is a tech company. Before they're anything else, they are a tech company. And this is something even Turo reminds themselves of. When they're talking at the summit, this is something that they mentioned so many times, that they are a tech company. And when you're a tech company, one of the most important things, the most valuable thing that you need to further your development and to make your platform better, your functionality better, the user experience better, is data. So when you go and you use programs like StreetSmart to automate what you're doing, Turo really misses out on a whole lot of data that they need to improve their platform, right? So that messaging that as a host that you're doing with your guests back and forth and actually talking to them and answering questions that they have personally is so important for Turo to see, because that's going to help them better their platform, better develop their user experience, and build better functionality into the platform, such as doing pre-canned messaging. But that data has to be there in order for them to develop that. So, and the other thing that I kind of see as a downside of using a program like Street Smarts is, one thing I noticed is majority of the time when people book a car, that very first message that you get from your renters almost always has some type of question in it. And that question always ranges, it's never the same, and it's all over the map, right? Majority of the people are first-time users on the platform. They want to know about parking, they want to know about timing, they want to know about just all kinds of questions, if they need to bring their driver's license with them. I mean, it could be anything, right? So you personally answering that first message, I use pre-canned responses too, but I am still the one who sends that message, so I always review what my renter is saying before I send that. So, I can really, if there's a question, I can answer it along with my pre-canned response. And that feedback, I just cannot express to you guys enough, especially if you're a new host on the platform or you're growing your fleet, how important that interaction with your guests is. Literally, that will tell you everything about your business. I'm not even exaggerating that fact. It is 100% the truth. That interaction, that communication with your guests will tell you everything that you need to know to grow your business. Your customer will always tell you what they want, and you have to listen to that so that you can cater to those needs. And that will allow you to build your fleet. It'll allow you to provide a good experience because you're listening to what your people have to say, and then you're delivering that experience. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. And so, please communicate with your guests, answer their questions personally, and allow Turo to have that interaction so that they can figure out exactly what's the best way to develop their platform. And a lot of people also voice their concern about having a better way to view their calendars when you have multiple cars, and people using third-party apps to sort of help manage that. And again, I think that it all has to be housed within the same platform so that Turo can better develop for that. And as an outside perspective looking in, one of the things that I see is that there are a huge range of hosts on the platform, right? There's the giant group of people that have one car on the platform. There's a huge group of people that have 3 to 4 cars on the platform, and that's, I'm guessing, probably the average. Then there's people like me who are kind of in the middle with around 20 or so cars. Then there's people who are just on another level and they have 50, 100, 150 cars. So there's a big gap in between that Turo has to develop for. And you have to think that they develop from here to here to here to here, right? So they can't just develop for the people over here, and they can't just develop for the people over here. There has to be a gradual development to where they can kind of cater to what the majority of their hosts are going to be. And for them to do that, they need to have us as hosts remain within their platform so that they can understand what's lacking and have that data in order to develop for it. So that was a lot of ranting on about that, but that was one of the big things that I kind of came across and just kind of wanted to offer my perspective on that. And then finally, just sort of as a closing thought, I guess, is looking at this whole market, being in it for 4 years and trying to look at it from here, and me personally being in it right here. My perspective on it is that right now, in all the years that I've been in it, I think right now is absolutely the perfect time to get into the marketplace. Whether you're already in it and you're thinking about expanding, or you're not in it and you're thinking about getting in, right now is the time. And this is going to sound weird, but right now there's not as much competition as there used to be. And reason being because people that are on the platform, they're not competing. So if you get in right now and you really offer a great experience, a great service, and some great cars, whichever cars they might be, I really think that the time is right now. As in any market, you know, whether if you're a day trader, the stock market, or you play in other marketplaces such as Airbnb, Turo's market right now is going through a correction, and that's why I think it's such a good time to get in. And you know, they just, I feel like, did a little bit of a cleanse where they got rid of some bad hosts who weren't providing a good experience. So that also presents a really good opportunity to get in. It just seems like everything's kind of going through a revamp. And if I was somebody who wasn't into or just had a few cars, and knowing what I know, I would be getting in right now, and I would be growing with a vengeance, especially if you have the capacity to offer the service. Even for myself, we're towards the end of July right now. Car buying season for me is towards the end of the year. So I'm already researching, I'm already fishing, and I'm getting ready to buy my cars. So I think that that's something really, that's an opportunity for us right now, and that's kind of what makes me so excited, is that the market is going through a correction, and it's a great time for growth and a great time to get in, and really a great time to get ahead if you're already in. So even for me right now, I'm just so focused on making sure that my cars are amazing, people are enjoying them, and I'm really scoring those 5-star reviews where people are talking about their experiences. So whenever I talk to my guests, like, I always like to dig for, you know, what it is that they did, where did they go, how did they enjoy that car during their trip, and I always ask them to please talk about that in your review when you leave me a review. So I would encourage you guys to go read some of my reviews that I have, and just know, for me personally, that's what I'm going after so hard. That's a huge focus of mine. And always my focus is to provide that good experience so that I can get that repeat and that referral business. And just tying all that back in, that is why I think it's so important to communicate with your guests on a one-on-one level, so you know what these people want. And you know, I sort of, just a prime example, right before I was doing this video, I just got a message from one of my renters who had rented from me, I think, God, maybe 2 years ago. I'm gonna read you this message. It says, "Hey Saimah, I don't know if you remember me. I rented your car a few years ago when I was in Cali. I'm coming back in a few weeks, and I was wondering if you still have your car for rent." This guy had rented my Tesla, and I totally remember him. And then he goes, "By the way, you guys never used my boat and paddle boards and kayaks." He's here in a local beach city of ours. "So I'm hoping maybe this year you guys will go and use my stuff." And I just love having connections like this. I mean, this guy, and I'm looking at his profile, and I know that he hasn't rented, because he's not local, he hasn't rented anything here since he's rented from me. So for him to come back and think of me because we had such a good experience with him, and as you can see, made that personal connection where this guy offered to allow me to use his boat and his paddle boards and stuff, and the fact that he still remembered all that and reached out to me, and now he's coming into town for a few weeks. I mean, that's going to be a huge rental for me, and I'm excited that I made that connection and that he still remembers that, and that he had such a good experience that he wants to come back and rent from me for a few weeks again. So it's just about that experience and making that connection. So as more updates come out, guys, I will, of course, chime in, share my thoughts and opinions on everything, and always just share my experience as it is, exactly as what I experienced from me doing my business full-time on Turo. I don't have a day job. I don't do anything else. I don't work for Turo. I'm just a normal person that has built up a handful of cars and that does this business full-time. So I promise to always share my experiences as they are. And just as a reminder, guys, when I post videos, I generally do post some additional information, anything that I feel like I might have left out, or some helpful links, whether it's FAQs from Turo's page that have more details, or anything that I'm referencing in the videos in my description down below. So definitely check that out if you're looking for any additional information because I usually do have that there. Thanks for watching, guys. Talk to you soon.